No, 808s is like top 5 album of all time for me. That and Nothing Was the Same, which was like my main thing I listened to. Like, if you would have seen me walking the halls in high school, that's all I was listening to. I promise you, I had it on repeat.
Had your head in the clouds every day.
I was going to sleep, that shit in my ears. Like, I could say every single word in that entire album, word for word.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but.
So what's going on, everybody? It's Elijah here with Killjoy Magazine. I know it's been a while since y'all seen me in front of the camera. I'm trying to make it more regular. But today we got a very special guest sitting on the other couch, on my seat, actually. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna let him. I'm gonna let him sit in there. I'm gonna let him go and introduce himself.
Yeah, my name's Noble. I'm an artist out of Bakersfield. I manage Ness Julius. I run Undefined Records, the Undefined podcast I direct. Yeah, it's a pretty basic rundown of me.
So you're a man of multiple trades.
Yeah.
We were talking a little bit about camera, man. Now, before we get started, because I have a lot of questions just in regards of what Undefined is and what your role is, and how does that differ from anything else. But I'm curious to know let's go back. What got you started in even wanting to be a creative in the first place?
So I got out of high school and then I started college. And one thing I noticed about college, I was part-time at the time in college. And I didn't have a job at the time. I'd like just started. I was about to get a job basically in this little like weird period of my life. But I just started college and I realized the fact that I had a lot of time on my hands and I was just at home. I mean, most of my friends were like full time in college, so I wasn't gonna kick it with them all the time type shit. So at that time I was like, you know what? Like, I love music. I was writing poetry like all in high school. I was just a little lover boy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was writing poetry and like heartbreak anthems and shit. Yeah. Drake was my favorite artist like in high school, throughout high school.
What years was that?
Shit. I graduated 2016, so I think that's about when I started music.
Oh yeah, that was the height of Drake's lover boy, sad boy.
The first thing I got introduced to, the first time I ever heard of Drake was Over. Thank Me Later.
Yeah, Thank Me Later.
But I heard that from NBA 2K.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I heard that from specifically. And then I remember I got introduced to Kanye West like right after that with Heartless.
Yeah.
With 808s and Heartbreak. And I was like, this shit's considered a rap. I was like, ain't no way. I was like, this shit goes crazy. But
yeah.
I've always been more a fan of like melodic music than straight rap. You know what I mean? Like I could still fuck with hip hop for sure. But I'm definitely more a fan of that melodic stuff.
Yeah, 808s is definitely the shift in music where we started accepting that more melodies in hip hop. So
yeah. No, 808s is like top 5 album of all time for me. That and Nothing Was the Same, which was like my main thing I listened to. Like, if you would have seen me walking the halls in high school, that's all I was listening to. I promise you, I had it on repeat.
Had your head in the clouds every day.
I was going to sleep, that shit in my ears. Like, I could say every single word in that entire album, word for word.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, that's basically how I got introduced to music, to that side of music at least. And I started off just doing straight rap, like straight hip hop. But the thing was, I think I was really insecure in my voice back then, so I started like making like deep voice rapping, like talking like this type shit, like because I was like insecure in like how I sounded on the mic. So from there, basically I built myself like a little studio in a pool room that my parents had at the time, and I basically just put in some moving blankets and I called that the studio. I put in some little like colored lights, you know, to build an atmosphere type shit. And then, I was just working. And then I think for about a year at that time, from like 18 and 19, I probably made at least like a minimum of 3 songs a day for like a year straight.
Oh, shit. You was really locked in.
Yeah, I was just working, bro. Like, that's all I did, though. When I say that's all I did, like, I did.
So no job, no nothing, just...
No, I had a job, too, but my job was weird because I worked at a restaurant/club. So
like it would turn into a club at night. Yeah.
So I worked late. I worked late shifts. I worked like 9 to 2 type shit. So I had the whole day.
Yeah.
So before I went into work, I'd do it. And if I came home late at night and I still like am awake, I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, that's how I am right now. Right now, my job, I work at night. So like I have my whole day open, which just gives me time to do everything else. And then like I go to work, I'll get off 2 a.m, and it's like, well, fuck, if I'm not asleep or tired, I'll get back, hop on the computer and do some more work. You know what I mean? That's dedication.
Yeah, I feel that.
That's dedication.
Yeah, but that's basically how I started off. But even like from a very early point, I didn't want to just make music. I started studying like the artists that did everything solo, like Russ. Russ is probably one of the first people I really studied, to be honest. In terms of, I really could relate, and I liked the fact that he did everything on his own, and the fact that he was so knowledgeable in terms of marketing as an artist. He didn't rely on a label to push him.
Right.
He went ahead and learned those tools and acquired those tools on his own. So I wanted to do the same thing. So I started studying, bro. I started studying marketing. I started studying branding, where it really makes these artists who they are. I started just analyzing, really just taking into detail all these artists that I admired and what makes them who they are. And yeah, that's basically how I started up actually becoming a creative.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned you started rapping. Do you where's that at? Where's that? Do you still have that? I know you still have it. I feel like every creative still holds on to the very first thing that they created.
I could rap a little bit, but you'll never hear me making like a straight hip hop song.
No,
but mind you, I'm lying. If me and my homies are up late night in the studio and we're just on a vibe, then I might rap a little bit. But I mean, I know that music's not gonna come out type shit.
Yeah. I feel it's just something you can do.
Yeah.
So you started making music. When did you start taking it serious? When was it like, all right, I know I have the talent, I know I'm capable of doing it, but let's go back to putting out your very first song for the entire world to hear. Talk about that.
Honestly, I think I took it serious from the jump, but like from the point that I wasn't shit and then I actually started putting out quality.
Yeah.
It had to be maybe like my first like real mixtape, which was Feelings Mutual, and that's only available on SoundCloud now. It was on all platforms, but I took it down because at that point, like I think the next project I put out like many little like mixtapes and stuff when I was younger. I think the next project, if I'm not mistaken, was when I rebranded to Noble because I went under a different name back then.
And that name was?
It was Young Spitta.
Huh?
Young
Louder?
Spitta.
Young Spitta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you when you made that?
Shit, 18?
Yeah, that's an 18-year-old name.
Nah, but I had known I wanted, like, I joked around with my friends about that shit.
Yeah.
Drake has, so Nothing Was the Same. Drake has a part of it. I think it might be, I think later. But he says, the young spitter that everybody in rap fear.
Yeah.
So I heard that, and I was like hearing at the lunch table type shit. And I looked at my friends. I was like, yeah, one day I'm going to be the young spitter that everybody in rap fear for real. So yeah,
I feel it.
That's how
I mean, the name is a little corny. I'm not gonna hold you.
Super corny.
But the reasoning behind it, I feel it, man. I mean, don't do anything if you don't know you're gonna be the best at it, or you know what I mean, or dominate. So.
But I had to rebrand because I started basically making singing music.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was like, bro, you don't even rap. Why the fuck is that your name? And I was like, you're right. I definitely need to rebrand. So I actually got the name from my brother. I'm not gonna lie. He said he wanted to name his first son Noble, and I said that shit sounds dope.
That's fire. Yeah.
I said that sounds fire. So I was sitting down with my old friend Isaac Mashman. Actually, he used to live in Bakersfield, but he travels all around. Then Ness. I was sitting down at Cane's at like 2 a.m. I think around then, and we were talking about it. And I told him, if I ever was like gonna switch names, I think I might make like an alternate persona call it Noble. And like maybe like not even put a brand behind it, not even put a face behind it. Have like an anonymous just page and drop, like all my music.
Like a pseudonym, exactly like how writers have pseudonyms. Yeah.
Yeah. So I basically said that they're like why would you even do that? They're like just rebrand yourself. They're like it's not too late. And I didn't want to lose everything, but now looking back, like it was the perfect time to do it. So
yeah,
I'm glad I did it.
Sometimes a rebrand is necessary, man. I mean, I'll tell you, everybody who knows me tell you, Killjoy was like the 4th name I landed on when I started doing this. I went by 3 other names for maybe a span of like 2 or 3 months each. Mm-hmm. And then shit just did not connect. There was no story, there was nothing behind it, so I had to switch it, and now I landed on Killjoy. So sometimes a rebrand is better than making it a separate entity.
Yeah, I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
I'm super glad I did, but yeah, that's basically how I got that name, and then how it kind of transitioned from there, and how I took it seriously. That's about the time I think I started like really showing my face too. It's funny too though, because like early on, I know for a fact, like I'd probably like old me would deny it, but like I know for a fact. So I got Invisalign at one point because I had a big ass gap.
Yeah.
And that shit made me super insecure back then. I just didn't want to be on camera for that fact. Like if I laughed
because you had it's just invisible.
Huh?
Oh, because you had a gap. You don't want to be on camera for the gap.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
Because the gap. So I wanted it to close before I started shooting music videos. Because of that fact.
Yeah.
So that's about the time that I rebranded. So everything kind of came about at the same time. And then I shot my first music video with Drew. Shout out Drew Shacha. Super good businessman in the city too.
Yeah, that man.
I have a lot of respect for him. Man, that's about his money for real, and I can respect that. Yeah.
I fuck with Drew. I fuck with Drew. And I fuck with Drew that he fucks with me in a sense where, like, if I ask him or I talk to him, he'll, like, pop up or you know, he'll do whatever. You know what I mean? Because first time I heard of Drew, everybody was like, yeah, this man is, if you're not on your P's and Q's with this man, like, he'll
Yeah, Drew kind of. So I never worked with a videographer before, besides like people outside of my team, and I was barely working with them at this point because I was barely starting to get into like music videos and like visuals. But yeah, he was my first actual videographer I worked with, and he kind of took me a little off guard because he's like really like he'll push his whatever his thought is. Like he's not gonna if he disagrees with something you think, he'll be like, oh no, listen, this is how we gonna do it.
Yeah.
So that kind of caught me out. I was like, oh, hold on. I was like, I thought this was my music video. But
Right.
then like you learn to appreciate that. Like this is his art. He knows what he's doing type shit. So,
yeah, it's like a mix of
yeah.
like trying to bring your vision to life, but also knowing like how it's actually going to turn out at the end.
Yeah, but he's great at what he does. He's the best videographer in the city, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. He's up there. Yeah, he's up there.
I call him that. That's my,
It's hard because like I know a lot of people who are very good at what they do.
Oh, yeah.
They just don't do it in the same space he does it. So I give him that.
Well, it's just because he has established a brand for himself.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of people lack, though. In terms of all parts of the industry, not only videography, branding is a very taken for granted thing in the industry that is like essential if you're gonna elevate. And he does it better than most people.
I feel it. So talk to us about the Noble brand, because you wear a lot of hats. And then I think the first hat that I kind of knew you wearing was your artistry, right? Where I do agree it is more singing than hip hop, but nowadays music is all jumbled up. It can be categorized as anything and everything. Talk to us about the Noble brand, man. I mean, you told us where it started. How has it progressed since you first started?
Yeah, how's it progressed? So I started, like I said, I'll just kind of take it across like how stuff worked out.
Yeah.
Back then. So like my first mixtape was Feelings Mutual. Like I said, that was under the old name, but that still takes weight to me because I think I still have cool songs on there. I could go back to some of those songs and not cringe. Like,
Yeah.
That's how you know. And that was years ago. So I mean, that's saying something.
That's saying a lot.
I was like melodic rap back then. It had bridged from straight rap to like now I'm putting melody into it without even knowing I'm putting melody into it. And then from there, I went to like a little more like testing the waters, trying to see what people like. So I made The Places You'll Go. And that was my first quote unquote full album. Like I had like a full rollout plan for that one. I still love how I put that one out. I think I did a good job with it.
I like the artwork.
Yeah,
the artwork is fucking dope.
Yeah, I went off on that one.
Yes.
So that was actually inspired by Dr. Seuss's "Oh, the Places You'll Go," and like the whole thing's inspired behind that. It's even like told almost like a storybook.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I saw it. But yeah, on that I had R&B, I had a little bit of rap, a little bit of melodic rap still. And then I even started bridging into a little more like pop punk alternative type stage. Then the one that stuck out of that was pop punk / like alternative song. So I was like, okay, well that was kind of like my test trial to see what people liked. This song went up the most, so let me make a full like EP of this music, which is how I got into making Back Home, which I think is probably my best project out to date. And that was basically just a full embodiment of almost like a character, but also like it's just really me.
Yeah.
But I also almost feel like every project I kind of bring something new to the table and rebrand a little bit just to keep people on their toes and make shit interesting and bring a persona along with everything, which I think is kind of necessary and interesting for people.
I feel it. I mean, so with bringing something new to the table as an artist, you always want to grow, right? You always want to be able to say, well, I'm not limited to just this. I can do this, and this and that. Does that take away from you solidifying your sound at all?
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to touch on too.
Okay.
I honestly, as I continue to grow and gain knowledge in this industry, I really do feel like it's important, and it even might take away if you don't have a sound. And if you explore too much, you're never gonna really create that core fan base that you need. It's extremely hard. But one thing I've also learned about myself is I make better music when I'm free to make whatever music I want and whatever music I feel. So I'm willing to sacrifice and even take that risk if it means that I'm having fun with it and people can hear it, and I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing and people could hear it.
Right.
So I'll risk that for sure, as long as I'm happy making music and I'm enjoying making music. Like at the end of the day, I gotta enjoy this shit. I can't feel like it's a job.
I feel it, and in a sense, even with how the way you go about attacking music in some unorthodox way, you still are creating that type of core fan base where they're like, all right, well, what I can expect from him is something different every time, and that's what I love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not a complete loss.
Yeah.
It's just a very unorthodox way of doing things, which in today's world, especially in the music world, I feel like that's necessary.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but I think after this next project's a little off the wall, but after this next project, I think I'm basically there. I know what I'm best at doing. I know what I'm supposed to do in this industry in terms of where I fit in. So I'm gonna go full on to that right after this next project, though.
I feel it. I feel it. So you're from Bakersfield?
Yeah.
Born and raised?
I wasn't born.
But raised enough to know essentially what the city looked like before. Because I feel like maybe in the last 5 or 6 years, there's been this resurgence of artists where most of them who aren't like, I know Chuck has been doing it forever. Joe's been doing it for a long time. Even Ness has been doing it for a while. But there's like in the last 5 or 6 years, a lot more artists have come up and started making music and everything that's created this sort of musical world within the city.
Uh-huh.
Do you know where your place is in the city as far as your music goes?
In Bakersfield?
Yeah.
I feel like, so that's actually kind of a funny question. I think that honestly, in this city, I will always be known more as like a businessman than an artist, which I'm okay with. I've never necessarily tried to structure my music for Bakersfield. I always thought a different market. I think my music fits in a different market than necessarily the city bounds have.
Yeah.
Just like I don't necessarily want to compare myself to them, and I'm not doing that. Hate Drugs, like, mind you, their biggest growth came, and they have like my biggest respect too. Shout out Hate Drugs, but their biggest growth came when they got on an editorial playlist from Spotify, and they started going crazy from that. And all of a sudden, all their listeners were from LA. They do better shows out there. Just like you talked to Manny about.
I was about to say, just like I talked to Manny about it.
And it's sad, but it's just the sad truth. But in terms of like actually locally, I just feel like how I've been in the community and how I am as a person. Like, I'm not that kind of like artist that's gonna be like, hey, like, play my shit right now. Like Ness that kind of person. Ness will pull up and be like, hey, play my newest song right now. I'm not gonna do that. If you want to listen to my music, cool.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to push the agenda. I'm going to put out quality content. I'm going to make sure you see this shit. And at that point, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But I'm going to make sure to keep this in your ear to make sure that 5th, 6th time, like, let's make sure you don't like it. like, do you like it or do you not?
Yeah, let's double check. No, I agree. I mean, the longer that I'm doing what I'm doing, which is relatively, I mean, it is new for Bakersfield to have somebody like me in the thing, which is a blessing and a curse, right? Because it's like you don't know until you know.
Yeah.
Most people don't know. They just don't care to know because they're not used to it. Mm-hmm. But from my searchings in Bakersfield, the kind of music you make, just your overall personality is as noble. It definitely doesn't fit in the confines of what Bakersfield is more adept to as artists.
Yeah, no.
Right? And you can kind of pick out the people that's like, all right, well, you only live here and you're making music here, but the music you make is not for the city, essentially. You know what I mean?
I mean, and I'd always be open to like doing things in the community and stuff, but in terms of that, I don't necessarily classify myself like that. I never have. I never wanted to. I make like poppy, like out there music. You know what I mean? It's always a little bit out there, and it takes a very specific ear that there are out there, but it might not just be in the city, which is okay.
Yeah, which is fine. And having that conversation with Manny, and then he posted a clip yesterday, and I'm going through the comments, that literally opened my eyes to like, all right, maybe it's okay that the city you live in
doesn't support you
the way another city does.
Yeah, and if there's anyone someone should have got around, it was definitely Manny.
Oh yeah, that man has my highest respects.
Yeah.
You know, he's been in here 3 times. I love talking to him because I always learn something new when I talk to him.
That's a great man.
He's a great man. So seeing that and knowing that, is there anything that you've been doing outside the city to kind of try and build up Noble?
Yeah, I mean, I always market. I market in different ways though. Everything before now has always been trial and error. Then last year, when I was dropping singles, that was also a trial, but in a different way. Mm-hmm. I wanted to see what I could do with organic marketing. So no money towards anything. So
word of
that
mouth
was just,
type shit, right?
That was more posting on TikTok, posting on Reels. Let's make high quality content in a vertical format and push it through these and see if anything can do something with
Right.
it. And seeing, like, trying to play the middle ground between, okay, how much money do I really have to put in versus how much do I just have to work harder in content. And I think there's a very easy middle ground that I could see now, that I push Ness to do now as well, but that I will be doing moving forward.
Yeah.
So now I kind of get the gist of it.
You kind of got a hold on how to be able to do it. And you're in a very different situation because not only are you an artist yourself, you also manage another artist and have Undefined. So you have to be able to sit down and realize, like, all right, not only do I have to do this for me, I got to reciprocate it for somebody else. And I'm sure the way you go about pushing your music might not be the same for Ness, just because you guys make different music.
Oh yeah. We have completely different markets.
Yeah, when I saw when I first learned about you, and that's when I was doing my research, I saw a post where you guys were together, and I'm like, this is a weird pairing because, like, the music you make is completely different than the music Ness
you hear
makes.
that song? Perfect. Is that what you're talking about?
I don't remember. I remember seeing you guys in a video, like in a grocery store or something.
Oh,
and then,
that was a music video.
Yeah, it was a music video, and then I seen you guys posted, but at the time, like, I had heard your music separate, then I heard his, and then I saw you guys together in a lot of posts. So I'm like, this doesn't make sense because you guys are completely different artists. Completely different people. Where's the correlation? Yeah. But then I found out that you manage him, and you guys known each other for a long time. It's a love of music, though. That's what I'm saying. That's really what. It's a music that connects everybody, which is crazy. So, it's just that whole your city not supporting you, not saying that they don't, just not in the way that you would think. And I'm still trying to navigate it myself, so apologize if I come off, cynical. I'm not trying to come off cynical. With everything you've said, I'm not trying to come off cynical at all. It's just, the more I do this, the more I listen to other people who are in the same situation and hearing their takes on it, it opens up my eyes to be like, well, damn, I was thinking completely wrong a week ago, and things like that. So you're moving out to LA and doing everything. How does Noble fit into the grand scheme of everything that you do, as far as with Undefined? Because there's a lot of stuff under Undefined that you guys are doing, and then with Ness, there's a lot of things with Ness. Because Ness, I think Ness, and I told him this, he never responded, but I told him I feel like right now,
superstar. Sometimes he don't respond.
Yeah, I know. And listen, I know. Yeah. Ness is right at the cusp of, like, a breakthrough in his career. I just feel it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just feel it, especially with the last record he put out, what he's played me, and hopefully I get to hear the EP and everything. He's at the cusp, so I know you're dealing with a lot right now. Just how does Noble play into all of that?
In terms of, like, how do I make time for it?
Yeah, how do you make time for Noble?
Yeah, so if I'm being honest, which I'm going to be.
Be honest, man. Yeah. Be brutally honest.
Yeah, so I always think about this. I think about this a lot, and me and Ness have had the conversation pretty recently, I feel like. It was actually with my friends, because they were asking me, like, they were getting on my ass, because I play them my music all the time, my unreleased music, in different styles and different formats, and they're like, one of my friends got mad at me. He's like, what I hate about you, for real, is that you don't have confidence in the work that you have. He's like, bro, you sound good. He's like, you have good music. He's like, put this shit out. He's like, you over here, like, focused on Ness, and you don't give your time and yourself the space to grow. And I was like, honestly, bro, I was like, when I took on Ness, I knew for a fact it would take away a little bit from what I was doing. But now at this point, I think over everything, I am more of a businessman. And that's how I view myself. So if one part of your business is growing at a faster rate than another part of your business, you're going to put priority on that part of your business.
Absolutely.
So right now, Ness got motion. Why would I necessarily make him put a backseat to me in my eyes and in my time, right, when I can push him? And so in Undefined, the way I kind of view it is everything, if one thing pops, everything pops. Right. I think that's the beautiful thing about it. If Ness pops, Undefined pops. If I pop, Undefined pops, and Ness pops. Right. So if the podcast pops, Ness pops, Noble pops, Undefined pops.
You got hands in different baskets. Yeah.
So it's a chain effect, and it's a beautiful chain effect that I believe even from Ness popping, I'm gonna benefit. My team's gonna benefit. Everyone's gonna benefit around us. So why not ride the momentum and just put myself in the backseat just for a little bit. But yeah, I'm gonna put a little more emphasis on me right now, though, just due to the fact that I think me and Ness have a good balance right now, in terms of, in terms of like I know necessarily how much time I have to put into it, and I know when I can find time for myself, and then just like other stuff I do outside of it too.
Do you ever think about like just kind of closing that chapter in the book, like Noble? Like,
oh yeah,
like there's gonna be a time where everything else that I'm working on will just be too big or too much time consuming, where like Noble is just something I could play.
I have 2 more projects in mind. I don't know anything past that.
Okay.
I got 2 more in me for sure, though, at least.
Okay. I feel it. Well, you know, I got to tell everybody, man, I'm going to be there. Whether you want me to or not, I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
All right, so we talked about Noble. We got that down. Let's move on to the second hat, Undefined. Let's move on to Undefined, and then we can segue to the last part.
Okay.
What is Undefined, and what is your role?
Undefined is basically a record label / I would consider it a media company / technically management service, I guess, and like artist development as well. If I want to throw everything in the basket. Basically, my role in it is I manage Ness, I direct the podcast, I get all of our guests, I basically help formulate the show. Some of my hosts have definitely stepped up a little more these days and helped me formulate it a little bit. I also market it, I create the content, I edit a lot of the stuff, I bring everyone together for all these things. That's basically my role in like a big sense, and I'm just like basically the final decision maker. But I mean, I have a big and good team, so everyone plays a part in it. I'm not gonna say it's only me, but I'm basically just like the final, like, okay, let's do this.
The head. And I fuck with your team. I met a lot of them here and there. I think I met 2 of them when I went to El Portel one day, drunk as fuck.
I met you too. I met you. I saw you.
I saw you. It was the same day.
It was like a quick one.
Yeah, it was a quick one.
But
But it was it was the end of the day. And it was this big dude. I don't know their names.
Lonnie.
Big dude.
Lonnie.
And then
6'3".
and then the light skinned black dude.
Justin.
Yeah, we was talking. We was talking.
Like that's how we described him.
I just know he likes him black. So I know my biggest question that just sits on the front of my brain. You say Undefined is a record label, right? What does that really mean? Only because from what I know, record labels, you know, they help distribute the music. They kind of take over the managing and everything. Is there more to it than just helping an artist develop as an artist?
Well, so I call it a record label because I play more roles than just manage through it.
Right.
I handle marketing. So like technically I am undefined in a sense, in terms of like mostly the record label part, because I'm the one that handles everything in that sense. But yeah, I play more roles than just a manager. I'm not just a manager. I edit content for Ness sometimes. We'll game plan everything out. We'll market. We'll sit down and actually like go through like full things. I do artist development in the fact that like I'll say we'll go through like whole projects, and he makes so much music. It's so hard to pick what songs come out. But we'll just go through like full things, and I'll help him out and say, okay, I think this is the best to market. These are the things that we should put emphasis on. We should put this much money through this. We should put this much money through this, and this much money to this. So the only way I don't necessarily work as a record label is the fact I don't front money when you sign a contract.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. But in terms of the time that I give you, I mean, to me at least, it's definitely invaluable, because I'm going to give you so much more time than what I get back in terms of money. And that's always been the fact with Ness for sure. But I mean, the reason you do that is because you believe in that person, and you think that down the road they can make you that money and re-up it and more. You know what I mean? So that's why I call it a record label in that sense for sure.
Do you ever have plans on growing Undefined into an entity that
a full one?
into a full?
For sure. I would love to do that. I would love to do that kind of stuff. But it's just about, everything's about having a platform. Everything's about having leverage. Leverage is everything to me, and like in this life. Like if you don't have leverage in any situation, you're never gonna get anywhere and elevate. So it's about creating that for ourselves, and getting leverage wherever we can, you know what I mean? And having people help us out and providing a service to people so they can provide a service to us. Everything's about exchange in this life, you know what I mean? So you got to give them something for them to give you something. Nothing's unconditional.
Nothing's free.
Yeah.
And I feel like right now, you know, you guys, pretty much a lot of people are in a space where you kind of do like I don't want to say like a service for a service type deal, but like how you said is like, do something for me, I'll do something for you, as long as it makes sense and it both can it can all elevate our platform. Then why not? You know what I mean? So you have Ness. It's the only artist that you're kind of.
Yeah, I manage myself too.
Yourself too.
Yeah, I manage.
It's hard
to
navigate because, like you said, man. Even with me, like I know I've first heard about you through your music, but I think you make a really big impact as, like you said, a businessman.
Yeah, and that's why I always think I'll be viewed like that. Like the only people I think that's why I say people in the city I don't think would know me as Noble, because I feel like in the community at least I make a way bigger impact with Undefined, being Ness's manager, than I do with my music. You know what I mean? So the only people that would then know me for my music are people out of town, because they don't know me as that. They might just find one of my songs and be like, oh, this is a dope artist. Yeah. And then everything comes along with that. That's like the best way I could explain that.
I feel it. Yeah. Do you ever hope, just to double back on that, do you ever hope that they'll be introduced to you through your music and that'll segue into maybe you being a businessman?
Yeah. I love my city. I love my city. I would love for my city to love me. Yeah. But that's not necessarily something I expect. But yeah, I would love for that to happen one day. It's just about me elevating though.
Yeah. Do you ever?
I never rest in that sense. Like I know I need to get better. Like I'm not gonna blame people for not liking something. Like I think it's so lame whenever like people will show you music and get mad if you give them your honest opinion and not like it. Yeah. It's never the consumer's fault. You know what I mean?
And that's another thing Manny was saying, that it's never the consumer's fault.
Yeah, I thought about that again. I just didn't want to bring
that's
it up.
That's what I'm saying. It's like that. I feel like.
But me and Manny are really like-minded. That's why I feel like I get along with them.
Nah, and because you guys, and even now, just me, just being kind of new to this whole thing, you know, I sit here and wherever I see an opportunity to soak up information about how to go about certain things, I do it. Right, which is why I listen to him a lot and just how he operates and what he says. And even with you, you know, just being able to run and do everything you do with the podcast, with Ness, with yourself, is like, I see myself in the future being able to have that many entities under Killjoy where I can do all of that. Do you ever feel like you want to take on more artists? Is that like a dream you have, or you just not even there thinking about that yet?
I mean, so at one point I was really looking. And I was really trying. I've had meetings with multiple people, but for one reason or another, it just never worked out. I actually did have a third artist at one point. I count myself as an artist. Yeah,
absolutely.
I actually did have a third artist, but it just got to the point that he didn't take priority to it. And me and Ness are very different from most artists, I would say, in the fact that we live this shit. Like, we have this conversation a lot. I think that's the best reason that me and Ness are able to vibe the way we vibe. Because we really live music shit. Like, that's our life. Like, our jobs come second to that shit, mind you. We'll take days off. When we're at work, we'll be planning in our heads. Like, if I'm at a day job, the whole time I'm thinking, oh, what am I doing with this? What am I doing with this? Okay, how do I need to talk to this person today? How do I leverage this?
Oh, absolutely.
My mind's just running.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I used to work at Amazon in a warehouse. I fucking hated that job. It was hell. But the greatest thing about it was that the job itself required no brain activity at all.
Yeah, you're able to
So
think.
My entire brain was like my hands would be doing whatever the fuck I'm doing. My entire brain is thinking, oh, well, what article can I write, or what can I do, or what can I do? Even now, like with the job I have now, it requires some more brain activity, but still, like, I'll bring the magazines to my job and show people on my job, or I'll bring my computer and work on my shit, or have my phone. You know what I mean? So I understand living and breathing this shit, because it's like, for those that are super true to it, who want to actually make something out of it, they're going to do that. Yeah. You know? They're going to do that. That's dope. Do you have any, like, a time frame of, like, how long it'll take, or do you have, like,
to get an artist?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, I've had meetings. One way or another, it just didn't pan out, whether I wasn't interested after it or for some reason they didn't see the vision or whatever. But, I mean, I don't necessarily have a time frame. I mean, everything's going to come in due time. From Ness doing what he's about to do, and I'm speaking to existence, he's going to go crazy. He's going to be that person. He's going to be that guy. So from that, I'm sure a lot of people will then start coming to me. And I've had people ask me, but a lot of them just don't make sense.
Yeah.
And honestly, a big thing about me, I had to actually like you as a person. And honestly, I'm not. It's not easy for me to like someone. Like, it's not easy for me to want to spend time around someone just because. I don't know. I feel like I'm a very laid back, but I'm also very assertive in terms of the way I want things done. When you join what I have going on, I can be a little bit overbearing sometimes, for sure. I know my faults. I know my strengths.
But it's not a fault though. I mean, it's your baby. You have a vision how you want shit done. So
yeah, and I could be a little exuberant. You know what I mean? But due to that, it's gonna take a very special kind of person, specific kind of artist that I really believe in. For me to want to dedicate that much more time into, it's a big investment. And the time is the biggest investment you can make. So
absolutely.
For me to give you my time, shit, I gotta believe in you. And I believed in Ness from the jump. That's why, I mean, within, I think, maybe 3 weeks of me meeting him, we had that meeting.
Yeah.
And finalized it.
Same. I believe, like I said, I fuck with Ness. But a lot of the artists that I've worked with, I think me and Ness's relationship is the strongest in the sense of like artists and journalism, whatever.
He's a very personable person.
He's a super personable person, and just he's good.
He's easy, and he's easy to get along with. But honestly, that's always what I've been so jealous of Ness with. He gets along with people so fast. Like, he'll meet someone, and then it'll be like the next day I see him FaceTime him. Oh, Ness, what's up? Like, like that could never be me for sure. But I mean, that's cool. I mean, some people built for that. You know what I mean? But that makes it even easier to push him as an artist too. Is that people like him? He's
likable as a person. Like I said, I think the first time I've ever talked to you guys was when we did the interview, when I interviewed him over Zoom.
Mm-hmm. I do remember.
It was just a shot.
I was in the back.
Yeah, you in the back. It was just a shoddy interview. Just Zoom sucks. You know what I mean? But the conversations we were having, and just from like I kind of have built like an idea of like the kind of person he might have been just based off of the music and what I heard. I kind of do that with everybody.
So you think he matches the music?
Not at all. And just the more I talk to him, the more I've spent time with him. I just like, it's crazy because I remember one time he had explained to himself that he was like a shy person. I think there's a time you and him were here.
Yeah, it was the time we were sitting here.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't get that at all because like every time I talk to him, like he seems hella comfortable.
In public, like, he's gonna be quiet. I promise.
Yeah.
Unless he gets on that level.
Yeah.
Then you might get a little different side. It depends on the relationship status too. We ain't gotta get into.
Yeah, I ain't getting that. All right, Undefined. Let's talk podcast.
Uh-huh.
It's relatively new, right? How long?
About 8 to 9 months. Damn, I'm about to give you an exclusive. So if we're counting in terms of film dates, a year, I think almost a year ago to the date, we filmed the Jordan Love podcast. But back then it was literally brand new. It wasn't in the same room you see it now. It was in my studio room. It was with Justin was still a host, but we had a different co-host. And we filmed that podcast. It went great for the most part. One of the hosts got a little drunk at the end because we always stay true to our name, man. We're gonna drink, we're gonna have fun, and we're gonna make sure the person we're with has fun.
Right.
That one obviously you couldn't drink because he signed to the NFL. But at that time we filmed that podcast and then it got lost.
Shit.
That was supposed to be our debut podcast. That was supposed to be how we introduced the Undefined podcast.
That would have been a big thing.
Yeah. Not saying it's not gonna come in the future. Anyways.
Yeah, we're gonna spend the block on that one. I feel it. Yeah.
But that was the first one we did. That was about a year to the date. But we lost that footage. We said, okay, let's switch things up. Then let's move rooms. This room's a little too small, and let's bring in a new host, and let's do it this way. That's how you see it kind of done now. I mean, we're always elevating. We're always moving, putting new equipment in, trying new things out. That's why you kind of see, like, if you notice to the setup, things always change just a little bit.
Yeah.
You might see, like, a mic come in. You're like, oh, what's that mic? You might see a light change, or what's that light? So, yeah, we're always trying things out. But, yeah, I mean, I've been extremely happy with it so far. It's definitely tougher than I thought it would be. It's a more time-challenging thing than I thought it would be, but it's rewarding at the end of the day. The biggest thing that I like about it is just the fact that people get to come on there and have a good time, and we get so much good connections from it too. I got to meet a lot of people that I didn't necessarily think that I'd be cool with like that, but they respect me for what I do. So
you said you're the one that comes up with the ideas and the guests and everything.
Oh yeah.
I understand, because believe it or not, before I did the magazine or whatever, I had a podcast myself called Doing Dope Shit with two of my friends. And I mean, I still had the brand, just not a physical mag.
Yeah.
But I was a producer, right? So it was on me to come up with the ideas and the topics every day.
Yeah.
If we had a guest, they would have to talk to me. So that's very time consuming, where on a weekly basis, because your podcast isn't necessarily guest heavy, because I've seen episodes where there wasn't a guest.
Yeah, so we don't want to necessarily obviously, so guests are essential just in the course that's how you necessarily, so I'm providing something to all the people that come on the podcast with giving them high quality content that no one else in the city is going to give you.
Right.
No one's going to give you the type of content and the type of setup and the professionalism of the look of the podcast that we can give you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So coming on there, you're going to have so much content that if you are willing to take advantage of it and post on TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, then you can get some motion and get some followers and get looks your way, get profile views. That's all you want to do as an artist, as any kind of creative that you are. You just want to have the chance to be seen, and that's what we provide.
Right.
And in return, what we get from it is the fact that we get to touch at people's platforms. We get to get the little push from them of new people seeing our podcast, new people seeing our page, new people. I mean, sometimes people click. Obviously, I have both Instagrams on my
phone. Yeah.
So sometimes when I drop a podcast, I'll start seeing people start liking stuff from Noble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes. One of the hosts reached out to me. Oh, did this person follow the podcast? Oh yeah. I said, oh, they followed you from that. Cool. So I mean, it's just like I said, it's a chain effect, and it's a beautiful thing. But that's really, I think, the most beautiful thing about the podcast. Anyone that guests on the show kind of becomes a part of that chain for a short while.
Yeah,
it's a cool thing.
No, I feel it. Even with me, like you said, I used to I started tagging myself, my personal self, in the stuff that I do for Killjoy. And I mean, like for this interview, like I'm going to say you sat down with Elijah from Killjoy, which is redundant because I'm both, but it's like they'll follow my personal account too through that, which is dope. And the same thing, like I hope, like even with this, you know what I mean, I will post it or I'll give you the clip or whatever, and I hope that we'll be able to combine followers for a second where it's like, all right, well shit, Noble's on this platform, bet let me tap into what he's doing, or Elijah interviewed Noble, well, let me tap in what Noble or Undefined's doing.
Collaboration's very important, and it's how you grow from nothing. You know what I mean? I think that's the easiest way to grow from nothing.
Oh, absolutely.
And, it's how so many people blow up. You know what I mean? But yeah, honestly, I haven't done an interview in so long though. Like real shit. Like this is the first interview. It has to be at least a couple of years. But yeah, I don't necessarily do.
You fucking with it so far?
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to talk about? Anything specific you want to talk about?
Are we ending?
No, we're not ending.
Okay,
No,
okay.
not at all. I'm just saying.
I'll save it for that. I'll save it for that.
I'm still new to this whole journalism spot as far as being in front of the camera and everything. So I try and do as much research on the person as I can. With you, it's easier because we've had a couple of conversations before, and every time we talk, I always ask you, what are you working on? What are you doing? What do you think about this? So it's easier to kind of continue on from there. But I know just as much as it is for me, it is a chance for you to connect with everybody outside of just your normal person. You know what I mean? So it's a chance for you to talk your shit and tell people, well, this is what I'm working on. This is what I've been doing. This is me, when you're not seeing me on Instagram or not on the podcast or anything. Because if I'm correct, bro, your face is never on the podcast. Not a lot.
I don't go on the podcast.
Why?
I just think so me, myself, if I'm going on camera, I'm going to be presentable. So in order for me to be on the podcast every other week, you're asking me to, like, get ready and, like, you're asking me to put on a whole nother hat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At that point, I'm a podcast host, too. Like, damn, I can't just enjoy it type of shit. Like,
I feel it.
Sometimes I just want to sit back and enjoy it.
And
like,
just enjoy the work.
I'm going to let them do what they do. And they're personable people. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm not as personable. Some days I have bad days. Some days I might not want to talk. And that could definitely take effect. They even asked me to hop on the podcast yesterday. I said no.
Would you ever schedule yourself as a guest?
Yeah, I'm next.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got my press run. I'm going to get my press in. One thing about me, when I'm coming out with a project, you going to see me. Whether you want to see me or not, you're going to see me.
So let's talk about that, right? I'm glad you brought that up. One of my biggest gripes with a lot of artists in the city is the rollout. Rollout sucks.
Speak my language.
I'm gonna just keep it a buck. Y'all got to do a lot better with y'all rollouts.
Speak my language.
The rollouts suck because there's a lot of people that drop a project and I never see anything before or after outside of maybe reposting people who posted on TikTok, on Instagram, which is cool, right? But it's like, what happened to like
the
creativeness? Yeah, because I remember like even when Ness like
it.
he dropped a project, he did like a commercial for that shit, and I was like, oh, that's dope. Like, and mind you, I'm
even Ness be lacking sometimes.
Yeah,
Let's call it
see
out.
that. But I'm saying like even with me, like I have Volume 5, Face of the Field right there. And I treat that as an album, right? As a mixtape, as an album, as a body of work that requires
you're rolling it out
with its own rollout. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So let's talk about rollouts. You are in a specific position where not only do you have to worry about the rollout for yourself, you have to come up with the rollout for Ness.
But honestly, Ness is. Let me give Ness his props too, though, because Ness has stepped up so much within the last. He sees the motion he has, and he's not taking it for granted, and he's trying to take full advantage of it, and he's putting in more effort to grow as a marketer and as a brander. So he's basically trying to put on the hat that I was trying to push him to do.
Yeah.
Because mind you, I can't do everything for him. I see myself more as a guide, more as a mentor towards, okay, this is how we could do things, and like this is the formula. So now I need you to put this in effect. I will always help in any way I can, but I need you to really, I can't do this shit for you. You're going to have to want this shit, and you're going to have to understand the severity of these things and how important it is to getting you to where you want to be. Like, I want you to make money. Please make money.
Yeah.
Like, so let's do this shit, and let's do it the right way, and let's not rush it. Let's meet up if we have to. Let's spend money here. Let's spend money here. But let's be smart about it, and let's budget. So, like, that's kind of, like, what I do with that.
Yeah, no, he definitely got a lot of better. I know when he was here, he was talking about his brand, and that's what he wants to focus on this year is making it his brand, which is dope. But the rollouts, what is your perception of rollouts in Bakersfield? I mean, I want to know where you stand on the music scene in Bakersfield, seeing as how you're a part of it.
Yeah, I just think, honestly, I don't necessarily think it's even Bakersfield. I think in terms of the music scene in total, I think the biggest problem a lot of artists have, at least from what I've seen definitely, is you need to view artistry and music as a business, and people don't do that. So they just think, oh, I'll put out a song, it's going to go crazy just because people are going to share it. But you're so limited with that approach. So to negate that, you have to, even the people that you do have with you, you need to keep them interested and you need to make yourself seem larger than life.
Right.
You can't make yourself seem like just another person. They can't view you as a friend necessarily. Like, I would say even our homies now with Ness, they don't necessarily view him as a normal guy. They don't view him as a normal friend. They go and talk about his music every time we link. And it's because of the fact that they view him as Ness Julius now. They don't view him as his actual name. I'm not going to put
I know his actual name.
Yeah.
I'm about to ask you your actual name off camera. But no, that's a switch. Yeah. Is when the closest people next to you don't even view you as the homie anymore.
So a lot of Bakersfield artists just want to brand them. They make it seem and brand themselves as just a Bakersfield artist, a neighborhood rapper, or a neighborhood
hometown heroes, what I like to call them.
Yeah, and like you're limiting yourself so much with that, and you're not making it possible. Like it takes so much luck as it is to really get to where you want to be in this industry. To lower your chances of that luck hitting by doing that is just it's so tragic too, because there's so many talented people in town. But shout out to all the good ones out there though, because there are some solid people, and there's people
like who
that pop up.
Who are the good ones? You don't have to name names unless you want to.
I'll name names. I think Chuck's really getting there, man. I think back in the day, Chuck didn't necessarily move how he moves now, but I think he's really starting to put it together, and the things he got in the vault goes crazy. So I really do believe in Chuck, and I think he can ascend to be one of those people. Shout out Goofy. We had him on the podcast yesterday. I got him on the podcast because of the fact, if I choose you to be on the podcast, it's because I believe in you, and I think you're doing something different.
Right.
And Goofy, so I had people reaching out to me for
that a lot
for a minute, telling me to interview him, but I was like, I didn't necessarily see it at that time. But I saw him perform at Ness's show that you hosted.
Yeah.
And I was impressed. I never necessarily... I heard his music, but it hit me a little different when he performed it. I really got to feel it.
Yeah, the crowd going hype. Yeah,
and I got to see the crowd. So from that, I was like, okay, you're an extra level of respect. And then when Ness shot the G&O music video with him and his videographer, I didn't know that he started that team. and how young he was starting that team too. So I was like,
that Goofy started the team.
yeah, him and Allen started Too Real.
Yeah, because they were here shooting it in here, the whole team, and I thought that was y'all team, because I know Revenge. I forget his name.
No, so technically Joel. So Revenge. JPG. I don't know.
Joel, right?
Yeah, Joel.
Yeah.
So Joel's the host of the podcast, one of the hosts of the podcast. He technically is a part of Undefined, but I technically classify him as like Ness's like cameraman, and he's the Undefined host. That's how I would classify him as a part of Undefined.
Okay.
But no, so that's his thing, and he started it at a very young age, bro. And even going through the struggles that he went to. He started that shit, and he's doing it, and he puts out such good content.
Oh, yeah.
And his videographer's fire, too.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you doing that at such a young age, like, that's crazy, bro. Like, that's almost along the same lines of, like, shit I was doing, and, like, that gets the utmost respect for me. So, shout out to them. Joe, obviously, has been doing this thing for a long time. I have a lot of respect for Joe just in the sense of he never stopped. It takes a lot for someone to never stop. And he's been doing this shit for so long and just stayed so consistent that he gained my respect in that sense. That he's a hard worker, bro. He's gonna make so many songs, and he's gonna keep going at it. It doesn't matter who believes in him, who talks shit about him. He gonna keep going. So he earns my respect in that sense. And yeah, I would say those are probably the top three. Of course, Ness, but I'm not even gonna.
Yeah, nah, it's crazy. One of the weird parts of what I do, right, is I'm in a position where I have to give flowers to everybody. It's not a weird where it's like I don't want to. I love telling people how great they are. I love telling people I respect what they do and everything. And every time I have a conversation with anybody who's been around, Chuck's name gets the highest praise.
But
he actually pulled up on me the other day to buy a magazine. Shouts out my guy Chuck.
Shout out to him, man.
He gets the highest praises from I literally have never heard anybody say anything other than he's one of the best.
Chuck's just a great person, though.
Yeah.
Chuck might be one of the best men I've ever met in my life.
Listen. When I threw the release party for Nate's cover, and I was doing sound check, Chuck came early and he helped me set up. He went to my car, was taking
Great
stuff,
man,
and I told him, bro, you don't have to do it. Like, you don't have. He's like, nah, man, it's fine. I'll help you. Chuck is really one of the greatest people that I've ever known.
No.
In the shortest amount of time that I've known him.
Yeah, let's
you
talk
know?
about it. Yeah, and just besides that, he has an amazing talent that deserves to be seen by more people than just the city. And that's what I've tried to, what I've talked to him about a couple times. I'm not going to say that I like guided him towards that because he does the shit on his own. But yeah, he's a great guy and he deserves everything that's going to come to him. And I'm sure that he'll continue to elevate.
You guys have a couple of songs together, right?
Yeah. I believe out, and that's actually released. We have Daydreams to my record that was on The Places You'll Go. Then we have Soho. Not Soho. SoCal.
Yeah, it was one of the first songs I put on the Killjoy playlist. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fuck with it.
SoCal. Those are two songs that we have released, and we work every now and then. Honestly, I don't collaborate with a lot of people, but like I said, I have to like you as a person, and I fuck with Chuck. I could hang around Chuck any day.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it, man. Shit, we've talked about a lot.
Yeah,
we've talked a well-rounded view. I mean, a lot of the people that don't know you after this will kind of get a good sense of who you are and what you do and all the hats you carry. And I could go on forever, man. Just being in a position I am where I'm a fellow creative, I'll say a fellow head of an organization. There's a lot of questions that I have. So we'll be here forever.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to tell them you got coming up?
Yeah. So I'm not sure when this is going to air.
It'll probably come out, what's today? Thursday? Wednesday? Thursday?
Thursday.
It'll probably come out Monday or Tuesday.
Oh, okay. Bet. So yeah, I'm gonna have a single coming up real soon, and it's gonna start the rollout for a project that I'll announce really soon. But you can bet that rollout is gonna be really impactful. And yeah, it's a different style of music. It's gonna be basically an R&B project, R&B / a little bit of, you'll get a little bit of rap from me. But yeah, it's gonna have a lot of features that I've been wanting to work with for a while, mostly from the city actually. It's just people that I always wanted to work with but never did, and I went out my way this time to make it happen. But yeah, I'm wrapping it up right now, and everything should be coming out pretty soon. And then besides that, in terms of Undefined, more podcasts on the way. We've been doing a great job of that. Shout out to my team. Shout out Carlos. Shout out Caleb. Shout out Justin. Shout out Joel. Shout out Lonnie. Shout out our lawyer. Shout out.
Oh, a lawyer.
Yeah, we got a lawyer.
Oh, y'all are real.
Yeah, we
real.
No, we ready. When those contract talks come, you better believe we gonna be
really
ready.
real.
We gonna be in there mobbing.
I feel it.
Yeah. See me at the Bakersfield Music Awards soon. see the whole team there. We're gonna have a good time, and we're gonna keep putting out content, make vlogs. We're gonna have fun with it, man, and continue to grow this entity that is Undefined. And I'm gonna keep going up too. I'm gonna keep putting out quality music, and y'all gonna hear it one way or another. I'm gonna market the fuck out this shit and make sure that it has the best chance that it possibly can have to be the best version of itself.
Yeah, I feel it. Well, thank you guys for keeping it locked, man. As a reminder, Killjoy Volume 5, Face of the Field. Y'all can see it right there. It's available now. Either DM me at Killjoy Magazine or go to KILJOYmagazine.com. Copy or purchase. We got previous 4 volumes available as well. So, yeah, man. Thank y'all for rocking with us. We'll see y'all next time.
Appreciate y'all.
Peace.
What'd you think about it?